A question that has been coming up a lot lately is, who is supposed to arrange for the defensible space inspection if the home is inside a high fire zone as determined by the natural hazard disclosure? And so this question comes out to a couple of things, and I want to point these out because the confusion is that in the RPA, and I'm going to pull up a copy of the section within the RPA that shows paragraphs Q5 and Q6, and these are the sections that allocate who is responsible for government-required point-of-sale inspection reports and government-required point-of-sale corrective and remedial actions. And you can see that this particular contract was checked to have the sellers take care of both of those sections. So you would think that the defensible space inspection, if it's needed, is going to be taken care of because that's already been agreed to, right? Well, not necessarily, and let me show you why. If you take a look here, let me pull up the RPA, and this is going to be inside the RPA. This is going to be in paragraph 10B2. It's going to be 10B2A. It says right here, and I've highlighted it, among all of the other requirements that it has, defensible space compliance shall be determined as agreed in CAR form FHDS. And that's the fire hardening and defensible space disclosure. And I've got a copy of it right here. So inside this document, in paragraph 3, there is a section under 3C, and you can see that right here. It's going to be paragraph 3 and then C, and it's going to be all of these down below here. These are the areas in which the buyer and seller would make an agreement. And it's a negotiable agreement, much like the things in the RPA or much like a request for repairs. It's a negotiable agreement as to who is going to get the defensible space inspection arranged. Now keep in mind, once the buyer and seller have, once a box is picked here and both parties have signed this, that's the end of that negotiation. So sometimes the sellers give these disclosures to the buyers with one of these buyer responsibility boxes picked, and then the transaction coordinator might take that and just quite innocently put that amongst all the disclosures to be signed, and therefore when the buyer goes through to click on it, they will be saddling themselves with the responsibility of the defensible space inspection, whereas they may wanted it to have remained a negotiable point. So that is it. Now we know that the defensible space inspection is something that will be determined on the FHDS form, and even if sections Q5 and Q6 on the RPA have been checked that the sellers to take care of them, that it doesn't apply to the defensible space inspection as determined by our by the clause we looked at here in the RPA. I'm Jason Ross from Disclosure Help. Thank you very much for watching.